So that looked good, right? Are we in the middle of the game? Let's just check again. No, that's fine. Right here.
I'll be back.
What's up, NEOStreams fans? My name is Alex. With me, as always, is Chris. We're looking at today is a Darkrai Hydreigon variant. And I hear you have some pretty strong opinions on this, Chris.
Yeah,
Let me
so
talk about
anybody who knows me knows that this is my least favorite deck in all Pokemon. I hadn't played competitive Pokemon for a little over a year. I skipped last season, and I don't hit up too many terms to play online a lot now, but I got lured into playing at a Battle Roads this fall, and I didn't have a deck. It was like 10 minutes before the tournament, and now my friend Andrew Spencer decided to loan me a deck, and he loaned me a Hydreigon deck. And I knew what the deck did and everything, and let me say this much. That was the worst 7 rounds of Pokemon I've ever played in my life. I ended up going
7 rounds on a Battle Road?
7 rounds of Battle Road. We had
That's
like
what used to happen,
we had like 80 Masters, and I ended up going 5-2, losing the last round to Joey Gannon. He's my rival.
Yeah.
I can never beat him. And then
Yeah,
no, I had a streak where I was doing good against him, and then the wheels came off, and I think I lost the last like 4, including like a state's top 16.
I remember that. I remember that, actually.
No, that was a sick match, but always props to Joey, great player. But yeah, no, I lost to him, and then I got turn 1 by a Tornadus, round 2. And the rest of the matches were just me beating up on other Hydreigon decks, because that's about the only thing Hydreigon does beat. Okay, I mean, it's not that bad.
Alright, but if the guys don't know, tell them what this deck does. This is the centerpiece card, but if you can let them know actually kind of what the deck's trying to do.
Okay, so basically you're using Dark Trends as a way to maneuver your Dark Energies and cards that provide Dark Energy around your Pokemon. In this case, spoiler alert, we're running not Prisms, but Blend Energies. They provide Dark, Fire, Grass, and Psychic, I believe. And it allows you to attack with Darkrai, so using Darkrai and Dark Patch to basically play a slightly slower Darkrai, like as your main attacker deck. And you are allowed to move the energies around unless you run attackers like Mewtwo EX, which you can then shift all of your energy onto to provide a huge attacker. Shaman EX can sweep with. You can deal decent damage with Keldeo against like Landers and stuff, because you can hit that for like 2-shot it for 100. And the thing that's actually pretty useful is you end up Dragon Blasting a decent amount of the time. So against like Darkrai decks, you can hit them for 90 unless they give you like a potion or something like that. Then you can still get them with Dragon Blast, or you can set up kills on the bench where you're doing like 30 to something, or 30 twice with Night Spear, and then it puts them in Dragon Blast range. The other thing is Dark Trance lets you move the energy around, so you get to make use of Max Potion.
Alright, so it sounds like the Pokemon are very important in this deck, and what's cool about it is most of the ones that we're going to be attacking with are going to be basics. So we're going to get right into the Pokemon in the deck, and the first one is Darkrai. I don't think there's too much to talk about here, but let them know how good he is in this deck.
Well, Darkrai is going to be your bread and butter of the deck as an attacker. You're going to be using Night Spear a lot. Again, you're running Dark Patch, so you need something that's Dark type to be able to attach to, so Darkrai pretty much supplies that. And you also use Dark Cloak to allow you to retreat between your attackers, which you then use the Hydreigon Dark Trends to move the energy around, so you basically have free trade on all your guys.
Which is
so he's really a linchpin of the deck. He allows everything to function while also providing good attacker. Decks do use a decent amount of fighting types now. Like you have Landorus, you have Terrakion, obviously. And so there are going to be matchups where he's not a particularly great attacker in there because they can neuter him a bit with that. But that's why I have a bunch of the other guys in the deck. He's still good standby. Like a lot of matchups, he's very strong. Like against Eels and like randomly enough, Darkrai's not particularly terrible against a lot of the Landorus decks, just because like you'd think they have type advantage on it, but a lot of times they're 3-hitting it unless they power up for the 3 energies, which can actually be a little bit awkward. I'm not saying that I feel that because this is a slower build than a lot of the other Darkrai decks, it's not necessarily as strong against Landorus as some of those are. But I've actually found that a lot of Darkrai, like the speedier Darkrai decks, are pretty good against Landorus, despite being counterintuitive.
All right, so what we're going to do next is we know Darkrai, we know the ability, we know what we're trying to do. Let's talk about some of the guys that we're attacking with, kind of guys that are good in different matchups. The first one is Shaman, something we play in our Eelbox deck. We brought it out in here, too.
Again, this is a deck where you can really you can power it up out of nowhere with Revenge Blast. You just move or blend onto it. And we're going to see how many times I call Blend Prism throughout the course of this video.
It is Blend, guys.
It is Blend. But I caught myself earlier when I was trying to say it, but I guarantee I'm going to screw that up. But, yeah, no, Revenge Blast is good for sweeping. One of the problems I have with this deck is that it has a bit of a convoluted setup. Like, you have to get stage 2 out. It's kind of slow.
Yeah.
And one of the problems with that is that you really still don't one-shot anything. Your damage output isn't that high. You can get like a supercharged Mewtwo, but in most game states, if you get that many energy in play, you should be able to win through other means anyways. But this is something that does really increase your damage output. It lets you hit a point in the game where you're able to just smack for 180, and if they can't one-shot it, then they're in really bad shape.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
And it's good as Keldeo as well.
They can kill it after 2 prize cards, I believe, which is pretty.
Which
pretty
is actually really
they can just
incredible.
kill one. They can just kill one Darkrai, and then you leave up a Shaman, and if you get all their energy, you can just kill them right there. This is Keldeo. He's really good in this deck. Russian gives us obviously the double switch type of deck.
Yeah, it makes us immune to status conditions and anything like that. It's like not a particularly great attacker because the blend energy doesn't provide water, so like it's really capping it, just hitting for 50. But it's a reasonable attacker, different weakness. Like it has its moments, but it's mainly to use Russian with Dark Club.
Okay. So not too much on there on Keldeo. The final one is Mewtwo is another just classic attacker.
I mean, when you get a bunch of energy on something, like you're a little bit weak to X-Ball yourself, but it's a good attacker against Keldeo, it's a good attacker against other Mewtwo's, and it allows you to hit a threshold where if you get enough energy to play, you're just able to sweep with X-Ball. It does give you the same thing with Shaman, where once you set up, it gives you that little bit of inevitability.
Yeah, and like I said, guys, the power with a lot of these things is you're just dropping it out of nowhere and just X-balling them, or just hitting the Shaman's Revenge Blast. So there's not a lot of much risk associated with putting these giant basics on the bench. Like it's most things are really weak to catcher, but this one's not.
Yeah, the thing with the two of them, while we have people chugging beer in the background.
Guys, if you haven't seen NEOStreams, come and check us out. We're
save the top cut, guys.
We're at the parties. Hey, Jay Wentz, I love you, dude. We'll see you in a little bit, but hey, man.
Yeah, no, I don't even know if 2 Mewtwo's is correct or not, but if you do go with the first Mewtwo, being able to participate in the Mewtwo Wars, potentially, it's nice, even though you don't have the energy acceleration.
Yeah, we'll hit real quick on the Dinos. We just found out that this Dino existed. We didn't know.
I think they're all terrible. But
yeah, so we're playing just 2 of these. One of the one that's weak to dark. Like he said earlier, he doesn't know if that's correct or anything.
Weak to fighting.
Weak to fighting.
The dark type.
The dark type.
And I like the fact that you have an additional Pokemon you can bench as something to put Dark Patch to.
Yes,
for matchups where you don't want to have to hang it. Like there are matchups where you don't necessarily want to have Darkrai down there. Like if they have the track, and there's situations where like you prefer not to. It's very rare because you kind of have to accept the fact that he has to be there almost.
Yeah, and if people are playing the Little Rayquaza too, the other
right, it's just to diversify the types.
It's kind of up to you guys. You could play more of this one if there's less Landers. Like again, that's definitely a call for your metagame, but
there's
it's also not very. I would say almost not super huge relevant, but it can be. So
the weakness is less important. It is more important than the attacks. Because almost all the attacks are pretty irrelevant.
If you have to attack with it, it's kind of.
Well, let's touch on the Hydreigon line real quick.
We're going 3-0-3.
I'm not necessarily sure what I feel the best line actually is. Like I've seen anywhere from 4-1-3 to I've seen 2-1-2, I've seen 3-1-3, I've seen 4-0-2.
I don't like a 2-1-2 line anymore as far as. But my thoughts on this.
I don't particularly like it either.
I'm not a huge fan of this deck either. I would say that if I was playing the deck, I would want 4 Dinos in it because it is very difficult to find it. We're going to get into the trainers in a little bit to tell you how we search them out. But right now, I was playing this deck, and I actually went, I had at least 7 turns without getting a Dino on the bench. I was just like, well, natty attach, natty attach, 90, almost.
Almost got there? Yeah. No, I think I would definitely be okay with a 4-0-3 line. I don't think that these Wellis, I think that's how you pronounce it, the middle stage, isn't particularly worth it. Like, with rare candies and everything. Yeah, see, we've got a different. We
got one more dude up in here. We're gonna hit on in a second, but as well as maybe not necessary. It's kind of hard to get. We're playing Skylo. Skylo likes rare candy better, so we're all getting that in a second.
Before we get to save life, I wouldn't be against cutting the second Mewtwo for the 4th Dino.
Okay, that's something.
I don't know if it's Dino or Dino. I don't think anybody actually knows.
Until it comes on in an episode.
Right, but even that doesn't mean anything. They still call it
know.
Pidgeot, and I'm convinced it's still Pidgeot, and I will fight that one to the grave.
I think I say Pidgeot.
Like,
Pidgeot or
yeah, we're not going to fight that.
Whatever.
Like, that's a battle I'll fight, but no, just because the Mewtwo's, the second one probably isn't that effective because you are still limited to the number of energies you can attach.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you really don't want to fight the Mewtwo War. The Mewtwo is almost more for matchups where they can't really handle it very well, but I kind of like having the second one as well. That's probably an interchangeable.
Yeah.
Because you could go, like, a lot of times you can go where, like, you sweep with the one, and you get to a point where you have it back up to just win the game off of it.
So final guy, Sableye, good guy to Dark Patch onto.
If you've ever junk hunted for computer search, it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, if you can Skyla turn one for a computer search with this guy out and junk hunt is available, it is absolutely brutal. It's one of the top plays. Discard a Dark Energy, something else. Go get a Dino, junk hunt, get it back. Great play, something like that. Just having computer search a lot over is
one of the things that is interesting with Sableye is it's actually weaker in here than you'd think it would be.
Still good.
Because one of the things that really dictates how the deck plays is the energy attachments. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the big issues I found with it, even with Dark Patch and everything. Like, if you lead with junk hunting, and they get a KO on it, like, it sets you back more than you think.
Yeah, well,
and there's situations where I found a lot of games where it's like, I can junk hunt, but I'd rather protect the energy on something with more hit points. Mm-hmm. So you still run this. Like, the card is very good. Like, don't get me wrong, and it actually has pretty strong mid-game applications.
Yeah,
but a lot of times it's tough. It's tough to actually pull the trigger on leading with junk hunt.
Sometimes the best play is just junk hunting, like mid game to like get some key pieces back, and then setting them. A lot of things to note is the prize card exchanges now with the 2 and 2.
How'd that finger thing go again?
2 and then 2 and then 2
okay.
and then 6. It could if they're taking 2 prize cards, then you put a Sableye up. It's going to make them kill either the second EX or whatever or another guy. So it could mess with the math slightly, but
yeah, I mean Sableye's good. I know some people who cut it down to 1. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I've seen people running like 3 or more, and I definitely don't agree with that.
All right,
let's just hit the energies and get out of the way quick.
Yeah, let's talk about the energies. We've been talking. It is blend, not prism. I wanted to ask you real quick. Why not play both? Is there a reason we don't play both, or?
Because you actually do attack with the Hydreigon a decent amount,
and then trade off with
the prisms can't attack. Yeah, I mean you can get Keldeo going, but I feel once you get set up, you're not necessarily terrible against Landers anyways. And the other reason you can't play both is you actually need enough basic darks to use Dark Patch with. So
yeah, that's very true. Okay.
I guess you could theoretically, like, you could even go something like -1 dark, -1 blend, +2 prisms if you want to be greedy with that. And I've actually tested that. That could work. Again, this is not a deck I particularly have gone like too deep into. Just this is fairly close to a stock list with my own little tweaks on it. And there might be a deeper way you can go with this deck that does make it a little bit better. But
yeah. All right, so not too much on the energies there. There's
pretty simple.
4, 8, 12 energies.
You could do something silly like -1 energy, +1 energy search. I kind of been liking doing that with Skyla. It just lets you Skyla for an energy.
All right, we'll go. This is something we've talked about. 4 Skylas, 4 Junipers, 4 Ns. That's something you want to talk about. That's 14 supporters with 2 Biancas
and a computer search. That's what I've been using pretty much every day.
Okay.
I've been happy with that. I think Skyla's fantastic. I think you need 4 Junipers and 4 Ns is pretty well mandatory. They're the 2 best supporters in the format in terms of like I consider Skyla almost like a half supporter where it lets you grab supporters, it lets you get a specific card, but it doesn't really refill your hand. So you can't run like just 12 supporters in my opinion, and like you can't just go with the 4-4-4 because you need something to be able to refill your hand with outside of Junipers mid game. Where once you get down to 1, 2, or 3 prizes left, N doesn't really count.
Yeah,
so
it's pretty weak late game.
You're stuck playing a couple Biancas. I don't like playing more than 2. So I think that you have to make that nice compromise there. I know some people like random receiver. I don't particularly because let me
huge fan.
there's 2 schools of thought. With some players, you have random receiver, which lets you basically play 12 Ns or Junipers. So you always have a good supporter opening. But the problem with that is you're really depleting your supporter density, and this format becomes very revolved. It pretty much comes down to N in a lot of games, and Yeah, we got some
Yeah, we can't.
degenerates in the background here.
Just want to make sure we can hear everybody over here.
Yeah. Now, one of the things with not running enough supporters is that once you start doing the N exchanges, the N war, then you don't have a lot of live outs, and random receiver will just end up being 2 copies out of your deck every time you use one.
I want to say this too. Also, Scala makes that card a little bit worse. There's a lot of times like late game.
Random receiver.
Random receiver. Yeah, because what I've done is I've been like. I've set up plays with this deck. I played this deck with random receivers in, and I hit a Skyla off it. It was just like getting kicked in the balls. Like I wasn't playing cards, so I was just like, oh great, like this is just another out to hitting a Skyla here, which is like you said, a half supporter. So we like.
I'm really like I might be going too far in the other direction where I like to run too many supporters, but I don't think that's something you can do. Like, you really have to be consistent in this format, especially when you have a slightly clunky deck, anyways. Also, some people are like, well, random receiver is so good with Stable Eye, and those 2 things. One, I don't like attacking with Sableye that often early on because they're killing it a lot, and that takes you down on energy attachments. And also, you effectively have 5 ways of grabbing Computer Search, which is better than Random Receiver with Sableye. Okay. And if you're running Random Receiver, you really can't... Like the argument for it a lot of times is to have just that density of just Junipers and Ends. Mm-hmm. So you have really good starts with it. But then you don't really get to play the Skylas, and you actually... run less random receivers, and you're effectively running computer searches here. And computer search is a better card to use with Sableye than random receiver is. So there's pros and cons of both, but I'm definitely more of a fan of the Skyla computer search variant here.
My argument was this, right when random receiver came out. It was kind of right when the supporter count was like Man, Juniper, and then there was Bianca.
It wasn't out last year, wasn't it?
It didn't come out last year. But
random receiver?
Or it may have been, but I'm talking this format because I didn't play it near the end of last year. But it was kind of like I could either play more supporters like Bianca or Sharon, or I could just play. And it goes back to the density of supporters. I still agreed with it. It was better to play that card than a random receiver.
But I mean, you build your deck accordingly.
But yeah,
I feel that you need to be able to run the Skylos to get the rare candies to get set up.
All right, so we're gonna go right in here. Skylar's a good card. We got a couple one-ups. Evilite, good with all of our basics.
Now, I generally am not a fan of Pokemon tools right now. I feel that because of Skyla, decks can run like a one-up tool scrapper and just really blow you out. It's really hard to stick it. I think that I like running the one-up because you can protect it with N late game. So like it's more of a once, like you're not tanking something with it reliably because they will get around it.
Get around
or like
maybe.
Hurricanes, I mean, they can run like 1+ power and beat it. So like it becomes a lot weaker. But it's one of those things where you can play it at the end, drop the Eviolite, and hit an N, and hopefully prevent them from being able to get that late game. So it's something you can Skyla for. It's something you can get back with Junk Hunt. So like one of them, fine with. I've seen decks running 2 or 3 of them. I don't like that. I feel like it's too easy to just get it played around, and it's not necessarily worth the space to keep putting a bunch of those in there. I like the one-off, so I'll stick with that number on there. I could even justify not running it, but I'm pretty happy with just having one.
All right, so we got with Super Rod. Not too much to say there. Good card. You're gonna play it. Most decks, Skyla makes them better. Then we got Computer Search. We already hit on that. Another supporter, insane card. Get it with Skyla. So we're going to go into the main cards here. One of them is our Energy Accelerant in the deck, Dark Patch, which I believe was there 3 of them? Yes, there's 3 Dark Patches in there.
Blue died.
Alright, so what do we got? Like
Dark
Patch, just what we're going to...
3 Dark Patches. You got to be able to get Energy Acceleration going, and we've got some comical cackling going on here in the background. But,
alright,
yeah,
so...
we're losing our minds. But, no, Dark Patch gets energies in play. I've been complaining the entire time how every energy drop's so important because you don't really have any true acceleration.
Yeah, it's not like Eels, guys. When those energies aren't on board, if you don't have a lot of density of Dark Patches and you can only play 4 of them, then you're not going to.
We're only going 3 because.
We only even have 3 of them, so it's not very. It doesn't accelerate you too much. It can be used to.
You have to have a good balance of different trainers. I would love to have 4, but you have to squeeze a lot of things in here.
Yeah, it's possible maybe I don't know, but
I'm pretty happy with 3.
There's 3 Max Potion, which is incredible in this deck. Because of Dark Transability.
Right, it's your gimmick. Like it's one of the main selling points of using Hydreigon. It lets you wipe all the damage off of your guys. If they can't one-shot you, they can't really win.
It's kind of a format where, like, with a lot of the EXs, you're kind of just rumbling, dude.
Like,
you're going, like, this guy that hits this guy hits this guy, and then instead, besides Rayquaza and energy, like, type advantage...
And Keldeo can
shit on something. Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, no, the problem I have with this deck is that there are enough decks that are popular right now that can one-shot everything, at which point the Max Potion game plan is kind of weak. That's one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of the deck, because a lot of the decks just bypass your main gimmick.
Yeah.
And you're just
when Max
so beyond
Potion's
that.
not good against it, then you have a bunch of
It's really good against a lot of the basic decks, because once you do get set up, they don't one-shot you, and at that point, your Max Potion game plan does take over, and one of the issues I have with the deck is I don't feel that it, for being a setup deck, where you have to actually get evolutions in play, I feel like it's weaker than Electric and Blastoise in terms of raw power.
Yeah.
You don't have the damage output, you don't have the inevitability, you can't just one-shot everything the course of the game. But the problem is that this does better against some of the basic decks, because they can't deal with the Max Potions so much. So it does have its niche of strengths, where I like the deck less than Eels and Blastoise, but it does have a few selling points for it, mainly the basics matchup.
And you gotta play it. It is, like we said, the gimmick. Here's a card every deck playing Catcher. We got 3 of them.
This
goes right back to Eels, kind of the reason we're playing 3 and not 4, which we talked about.
Well, there's a couple of reasons in this one. One, you're a slower deck, you're not pressing the advantage. You're playing for the long game. You hope that once you get set up, it doesn't matter if you kill something in a timely fashion, as long as you get set up. Right.
Depending.
I mean, yeah, you definitely run 3 of them, but you're not at a point where like you have to keep getting kills with them, because you're hoping that once you get set up, your game plan is able to just grind out the game anyways, regardless of what you're hitting. So they're not as important. You can get away with only 3. You also have Junk Hunt with Sableye. So if you do need to get some catchers back, you can get 2 of them back.
Yeah,
so
which is a really powerful play, like mid-game, like we were talking about.
Right, and you can't really, you're slow, so you can't really pressure people with it.
Yeah.
You can't steal games off.
You're not killing the basics like you were in like maybe an Empoleon deck or something like that.
Right, Empoleon definitely needs 4.
So here's Rare Candy, which we are playing 4 of, because the basic guy in the deck that we're using is a Hydreigon. We're playing a 303, like we said earlier. Could be 403, but this is what we need to hit on turn 2. What we're trying to hit on turn 2,
right,
or turn 3, whatever.
You don't want to leave this. You don't want to leave the baby dinos on the bench.
They will die. This is a format of catcher. Pretty easy to talk about there. And then we have only 3 Ultra Ball to get our guys, which is something I understand.
I'm not necessarily happy with that. I would love to have a 4th.
Yeah. Oh god.
And I feel that with the 4 Skylas and the 1 computer search, that
computer search can alter something
as being Ultra Ball, then I'm slightly okay with having that. I would love to find something to cut to add the 4th one, and this would be something that I'd have to play 2 more games with the deck with. Right now, like I'm including one-ofs of a lot of the cards I'd like to play, and I don't know what I would trim. The Mewtwo could definitely go towards the 4th Ultra Ball.
Yeah, there are some.
I think I'm actually leaning towards that the more I'm discussing the deck.
More over
I've managed to start talking. Over the 4th.
Yeah,
even.
Which was the other we were talking.
I'm kind of talking myself out of the second Mewtwo as we're discussing the deck. So
maybe you guys take that into note.
Yeah,
maybe
take that into note. I would
Mewtwo's?
Default to the
Ultra Ball or
Ultra
Dino,
Ball
depending. He likes Ultra Ball more.
I like the Ultra Ball a lot here.
I like the Dino, but I'm not sure because I do, like I said, want 4 Ultra Ball. I'd probably find a way, probably over the Evilite because I'm not huge on it. But that's just me. I would also probably get some Prisms in there. That's also just me to make my Keldeo a little stronger play against Landers. I'd maybe be... it's really hard with the dark patches, but...
and the problem with that is you have to get both of them into play.
Yeah, pretty
to
hard.
be able to one-shot a Landers.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the Hydreigon deck. Anything you want to say in closing about it, or...
I hate it.
Doesn't like it.
No. I mean, I feel like it's going to depend on your metagame as to whether this deck is good for you or not. I mean, you do have Shaman as a way of dealing with Keldeo decks and everything. I feel that, as it is, like a traditional stock list of Hydreigon is probably going to do okay for you in the course of a tournament. I don't think it's the best call for the current metagame. I think that maybe there are more extreme variants that might be more fulfilling if you were to test them. I think that something that could be tested is try to go with more like the 4 Dark patch, try to get a quicker Darkrai. You have to almost make a compromise, in my opinion, where you can't accept the fact that you're just completely slow deck with a end game that is weaker than 2 of the better decks in the format, being Ray Eels and Keldeo Blastoise. Like, you have to have some way to keep up on speed as well. You can't just apply no pressure and hope to be able to beat a lot of the decks. So, like, Eels is weak to Darkrai. Like, you can't just fall behind on prizes against Keldeo Blastoise. Like, it's almost impossible to come back from that in that matchup. So, you almost have to try something a little bit different with the deck, I think, although this is pretty stable. One of the other things that we have to touch on that is an annoying thing with playing on the online website is that we don't have access to Tropical Beach. and that is a card that I would probably be running in here.
One of, or what would you guys? What would you
either
recommend?
one or two of. I know.
Interesting.
That well, I know a couple
I've never
people who've
played
been playing it, and they're kind of like what they're doing with Blastoise Keldeo.
Oh yeah, so like
rather than and you can cut like one of the Sableye even go down to one because you're not opening with Sableye so much as you want to open with a Tropical Beach.
So Skyla for Tropical Beach is probably the best play. Just like in Keldeo Blastoise, which we'll get to later, but that's another interesting idea. Tropical Beach, if you can find any.
Yeah, we can't test it on here. So
and they're just not online, so hopefully they put them online so we can get some more games in.
It's probably the most annoying thing, that and the filter, that censorship on the website.
Can't say ho. You can't say ho on PTCG.
No, you cannot. Not even hyphenated.
If you want,
you will
hyphenated all you want.
You will get that funny face. But yeah, no. Other than that, I'm happy with this site. More happy with this client than I am with this back. But
yeah, that's pretty much Hydreigon. If you guys have anything you want to ask us, ask in the comment box. So for former national champion Chris Fulop, my name's Alex Schacht. Thanks.